right, Coach. Obviously, you're one of the coaches that gets to replace a guy that's moved on to the NFL. You've also been hit a little bit with the injury bug. Talk to us about what you think you've got at tight end going into the season.
Right now we've got 6 viable good candidates. The kids have worked hard, had good summers. They had good springs. Obviously, Garrett Williams is coming off an ACL, and it'll depend on how his recovery's going, but all indications are he's as good as it can be. He's on point as far as that goes. They should test his strength this week and see what those numbers come back as far as when he goes. But obviously, that being said, there's 5 guys that'll start us out there, and that'll be Mylan Richard will be the lead candidate right now as we go into it. DJ Greenlee's a 5th-year senior who's probably had his best summer to date, coming back and obviously providing some. He's been in the program and good leadership from that standpoint. You have Cannon Smith, who's worked really hard this summer from that standpoint, and then Shadell Bell is a receiver that we moved over, and he's worked hard to get his weight up. He's got his weight somewhere around 230 pounds now, so he's looked good and worked hard. And then you have J.C. Chalk, who was a redshirt freshman for us last year, and just the sky's the limit for him as far as getting in and playing this fall.
Which one's grabbed the leadership role so far?
I would say the 3 juniors. DJ Greenlee obviously has taken on a more leadership role, being the 5th-year senior. He's seen it before in front of him. He knows what to expect. So he's been a leader this summer. Garrett's been a leader always by his actions, but obviously with him being injured, he hadn't been able to actually be on the field as such. Mylan's done a good job, and Cannon Smith's done a good job. So those nucleus of 4 kids have been leading the other kids.
With the depth you've got, do you see JC having a chance to get on the field his first year?
Oh yeah, I would think he'll have plenty of opportunities in camp to showcase what he can do, and then obviously in a special teams role, I would figure him in some of those capacities as well.
Milan's his improvement. Obviously, he didn't get a lot of opportunities to catch the ball, but
right.
What have you seen from him in the spring?
I think a couple things. He got valuable snaps last year in meaningful games. I think he played in probably every game last year. He played in when games were in it wasn't a blowout or anything. I mean, he's in there with valuable reps. So obviously experience from that standpoint. Garrett's played in those type environments depending on when he comes back. The other kids, DJ Greenlee's played sparingly some, and then obviously Shadell and JC are the 2 kind of question marks, the kids that might show that they can step up and have a valuable role this year.
How's that transition gone for Shadell? Are you starting?
I think it's gone pretty good. If you remember correctly, we did that with Brandon Ford. It took a little while from the receiving end of it. He's pretty apt to the blocking and the actual technique that's required. It's probably takes a little while for a kid that's moved inside that arena to master. But he's gotten better. He's a willing blocker. He's a tough kid, and he's got a good attitude. And I think all those things are required before you can get started.
Switching over to special teams, how do you feel about your punting position?
The job's wide open. We've got 3 candidates in Spires, Carson King, and Batson. Those kids battled in the spring, and it was, one kid would have a good day and the other 2 would have a bad. 2 kids would have a good day and 1 kid would have a bad. Nobody really took the bull by the horn as such and said, hey, this is our guy. So that job's still open, and it'll be a performance-based deal. And whichever kid kind of runs with it and performs the best will be the guy that we trot out there.
How about your snapper and your holder?
Our snappers, Patrick Phibbs and Austin Spence are the 2 kids that's been in those roles. They were backups last year behind the SDs, and they both split time this spring, had equal opportunity. And those jobs, and one may snap field goals, and the other one punt. They hadn't made those decisions yet, but both those kids have worked hard this summer. As far as holders go, we have some viable candidates there. Probably the 3 kids would probably be Will Spires, Hunter Renfro, and Will Sweeney will be a kid that's in that mix as well. Will's held his whole career there at Daniel. He's familiar with that. He's a headsy kid. He's a tough kid. And losing Seth Ryan, who was kind of an unsung hero. He kind of but I can remember him making some really important holds for us, especially down the stretch last season, and so that'll be a thing that'll be ironed out in camp.